Huh. So, yes, oh, yesterday we were just about to end this video on order and orderliness. Anything from yesterday's?
No, not for me.
I'm good.
Okay, so we can just continue from there. This is just about to conclude our entire conversation on, how human dharma or human order, the ordering principle for humans is what we're calling dharma basically over here. So the human dharma or human ordering principle is happiness. Happiness is nothing but resolution. And resolution itself is having this state of comprehensive answers to all the whys and whats of living in a systematic way, in a harmonious way, like the rest of nature is already living. So the rest of nature can be living in a harmonious, orderly way without having to understand. And they're doing it by just existing or by existing and nourishing. So that is the activity of the biological matter. Then they can be doing it by existing, nourishing, and hoping to survive and to maintain their life, hoping to live. That is the animal way of functioning in an orderly way. And then there are humans who are orderly because they have this thirst for happiness, and which is nothing but the thirst for understanding, this thirst for knowing and realizing orderliness, and then acting accordingly. So we are the entities in existence that are orderly on the basis of our fulfilled understanding and therefore happiness. So often it is also discussed in tradition, we say ki we will do something which will make us happy. But here it's saying, no, actually, first we will be happy through understanding, and then we will do things through our happiness. So, kuch karke sukhi hona versus sukhi hokar karna. So here it is being proposed that human beings first have to become knowledgeable, that is, they have to become fulfilled or happy. And on that basis of fulfillment and happiness or mental well-being, then when we go about doing things, we are able to participate in an orderly way with one another and with the rest of nature. And then participate in universal well-being. Okay. Sorry, Nipendra?
There's such a profound thought actually that you need to be first happy and then you should collaborate, because what we have been doing so far is first try to accumulate and then be kind of do things and then try to become happy from that.
Yeah.
That is I think one of the biggest takeaway. I think what you have just said that kind of made it more clear. And I was thinking about the other thing which I mentioned earlier about that how we can just basically produce something more to kind of become have an abundance and to kind of become what you call content, right? And then
prosperous.
prosperity is prosperous and then give. So I think that those two things kind of really make sense. And then and if we just kind of follow that, I mean, if somebody can feel prosperous in one way, right, then the other thought is that as a human being, we should produce more than consume. Now that kind of it connects both the things, right? So now if consciously you kind of consume less and then you can slowly produce more. So maybe you may be not there now, but as you produce bit and bit something more, then this gap can also kind of be beneficial for all of us.
Yeah. Also, that is true that when we identify our needs, automatically we will be able to regulate how much we consume. But when we say consume less, it is important also to think about what we are calling less than what we are consuming today, or less than what, basically. Because just consuming less can go, that can be extended to consuming nothing at all, which is also what has
Right.
been talked about in tradition.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. I don't mean that per se. I don't need that per se. For example, the amount of clothes you buy, right? The amounts of whatever petrol you burn in a way, right? Something like that, right? So I would mean by that that basically you should not unnecessarily buy the clothes, for example, as they're not needed per se, right? Or other way to look at is don't when you can eat in kind of a say at home, which is much more better, why to eat outside kind of a thing. So that was what mean by consume less.
Hmm. I think the key words that you've used were unnecessarily and what is
Yeah,
needed. So that is
correct.
the key point over here. Once we can identify what is necessary and what are our needs, then automatically we can work to fulfill those needs and those necessities. Whereas actually when we don't know what our needs are, then we can keep arguing over actually what is necessary and what is not necessary. We see that sort of disagreement and dispute emerging in every household where the child says, no, I need to eat this biscuit, and the mother's like, no, you don't need it. And then the parents will often say, no, you just want it, you don't actually need it, but the child is like, no, I need it to feel happy, to feel satisfied, and things like that. Or just among different people, whether you need 5 pairs of clothes or 10 pairs of clothes, really, what are our needs? And whether, yeah, even in things like this is the consumption in the material realm, but what sort of education is needed, even that can become a question,
Yeah,
or what is needed in relationships. So the key point is to be able to identify what needs are. Only then can we consume more or less or equal to our needs. Because right now we've believed some things to be our needs, but the basis of these beliefs are not very stable. Therefore, they keep varying from person to person. So here he's saying we can identify our needs. When the needs are identified in the family, on that basis, he's saying that I can produce more than those needs. And uh, because it's a family which includes children and elderly and basically all age groups, it's also, this is a very important uh, distinction actually. It's not about minimalism. It is
Mhm.
about being, in fact, he says to be able to produce more than our needs, so that
Yeah.
there is this range of, what we've identified as our needs, and then we have some more than that also. And when we have that sense of, oh, I have more than I need, more, not just as much as I need, but actually more than I need, then this sense of generosity flows very automatically. So prosperity is quite different from our other, our more familiar way of looking at environmentalism, which is minimalism.
Mhm.
Although things get reduced, because when you identify your needs, what you consume does often get reduced, because often we're trying to fulfill our mental needs with material goods. But, and yet it is still not talking about minimalism. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, right, correct. So not minimalism per se, I would say. And do you have any pointers where, I mean, of course, the needs for individual would vary based on person to person,
Hmm.
right? But there may be some fundamental needs which I would say, right, or which we can say. So are there any kind of mention about those needs? What are required here? Another,
Yeah.
yeah.
Very, very simply, he's put it actually in terms of, because we're talking about prosperity. He says there are two types of needs. We call them basic needs and higher needs, roughly. Samanya Kanksha, Mahatvakanksha.
Mm-hmm.
So, basic needs for all human beings is having enough nutrition, food, having enough sufficient shelter, and sufficient clothing, which is also for the protection of the body. So,
Correct.
as long as you have, like, because all of our bodies vary and all of our climatic regions vary, so naturally the kind and quantity of the food and shelter that we need will vary
Mm-hmm.
from region to region as well as from individual to individual. So some people sweat a lot more, they will have to go through more clothes than those who sweat less, and just little things like that. or the kind of lifestyle, the kind of work you are doing involves more wear and tear. So you'll need more clothes and things like that. So that way, as long as we know that all our clothes are for protecting our body and all of our shelter is for protecting our living systems and all of the food is for providing nutrition, then we have very great capabilities and creativity to fulfilling that in diverse ways.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, of course, there are higher needs, which is basically those are the needs classified for social engagement, which is the need for transportation and telecommunication. This was the topic covered in, there's this session going on, this English translated book of the first Madhyas Darshan book. And just in the last session, he had talked about this, where a dearth of basic needs leads to a feeling of sense of lack, whereas a dearth of higher needs only leads to a sense of curiosity. You don't feel any lack. Even before people had mobile phones, they didn't feel like, oh, we're lacking something. Whereas if they didn't have food, they would feel that lack. And an abundance of basic needs leads to prosperity, whereas an abundance of higher needs leads to, I've forgotten the exact word, but it was something like imbalance.
Imbalance.
Yeah. When there is too much proliferation of telecommunication and transportation, it leads to an imbalance in society, like we see right now.
Right. I agree.
Imbalance to our health, imbalance to our social relationships and to social systems at all levels.
Okay. So by telecommunication, is it mean by, for example, like the way what we see, like in a simple way, for example, all these Insta reels, what we see, right? Some of them are not needed unnecessary, they're there. And then people are just watching them to killing the time per se, right? So
yeah,
is that also come under imbalance?
Of course, naturally. When it is not in line with purpose, like yesterday he was saying, in yesterday's session, he was saying, when we are, so we have the same dharma, we have the same ordering principle as humans of happiness, but we can be engaging in lots of different types of work. But when we do all different sorts of varied work, it's all fine. But when we do that work in a way that doesn't lead to happiness, that is when the imbalance arises. Because the way to happiness is still definite. We can do it in several ways. Like we can, we can be producing food, we can be producing shelter, we can be producing whatever. As long as it is in a systematic and sustainable and harmonious way, all of that will lead to, which is an orderly way, all of that will lead to happiness. But when we don't do it in a way that is harmonious and sustainable and humane, then that is when we are going into excesses. And that is what all this social media, the current usage of telecommunication media right now is all about doing telecommunication in a way that does not lead to happiness, because it does not lead to harmony and sustainability and resolution. It is aimed at profiteering, which is not at all sustainable.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, this sort of use of in Hindi, the word is Dur Shravan, Dur Darshan for telecommunication. So being able to communicate audio communication over long distances and visual communication over long distance, they have good use otherwise for education and society in general.
Okay.
हमारे पूरे परिवार से अधिक मैं अकेले उत्पादन करता हूं, मेरे आवश्यकता से तो अधिक उत्पादन हम कर ही देता हूं, यह बात सच्चाई है.
So this is just a bit of a repeat. So I am able to produce much more than what I require, even today. That much is true.
आज की स्थिति में.
In today's, that is the status of today.
कल के इसके पहले की स्थिति में इससे तो मैं मजबूत रहा ही हूं, इससे ज्यादा करते ही रहे.
Earlier, I have been much stronger than this naturally. I have I have done much more than I do today.
तो शरीर जो मेरा मजबूती का मतलब शरीर की मजबूती से मतलब है। जीवन की मजबूती पहले से ज्यादा है, शरीर की मजबूती कम हो गई।
When I said strength here, I'm referring to the strength of the body. The strength of my Jeevan has increased over time, whereas the strength of my body has reduced.
इतनी बात हुई है।
That is all that has happened.
तो इस गणित के आधार पर आज भी मैं अपने विधि से मैं स्वायत्त हूँ। स्वायत्तता का मतलब समझदारी में परिपूर्ण हो।
So in this quantitative way, even today, I am, what is the word we use for swayat? Not empowered, self-reliant, yes. Even today, I am self-reliant. And self-reliance means that I am complete in my understanding.
ठीक है, परिवार की स्वायत्तता के में हम भागीदार अवश्य हों।
And in the self-reliance of my family, I am certainly a participant.
मैं अकेले ही अपने रोटी पानी आवश्यक कपड़ा से अधिक हम उत्पादन कर ही लेते हैं।
And I can single-handedly, I do single-handedly produce more than my requirement of food, water, shelter and clothing.
इसीलिए मैं सुखी रहता हूँ और कोई रास्ता भी नहीं सुखी रहने का।
And that is why I remain happy. And there is no other way to remain happy.
दूसरे विधि से सुखी हो ही भी नहीं सकते। तो मैं जितने भी
And there is no other way that one can become happy.
ये अभी तक जो कुछ भी काम किए गए ये सब जो है ना वो स्वयं स्फूर्त विधि से ये विद्या को जीवन विद्या को समझने के उपरांत जो जितने भी मेधावियों ने अपने को अर्पित किया है उन सब के योगदानवश ये सब काम संपन्न हुई है।
And all this thing that we have been doing,
जीवन विद्या को ये सब जो है ना वो स्वयं स्फूर्त विधि से ये विद्या को जीवन विद्या को
right. So all of this that I have been conducting, that has emerged in a spontaneous way. And Swayam Sport is more like of my voluntary desire. So spontaneously in that way. It has all emerged through my voluntary desire and with the help of all those intellectuals who have dedicated themselves to understanding this Jeevan Vidya. So that is how we have been able to conduct these workshops.
को समझने के उपरांत जो जितने भी मेधावियों ने अपने को अर्पित किया है उन सब के योगदानवश यह सब काम संपन्न हुई है।
So all of this work has been carried out through the contributions of through himself and all those other people who have understood Jeevan Vidya and then have dedicated themselves towards this.
ये श्रेय सब लोगों की ही है।
So the credit for this goes to all of these people.
तो अवश्य मैं शुरुआत की प्रेरणा तो करने में मेरा योगदान रही है।
And naturally, the initial inspiration for this had my contribution in it.
ये कुल मिलाकर के स्पष्टता है, कच्चा चिट्ठा है।
Overall, this is the clarity with which I see it. This is the transparent disclosure of it.
जो अब मानव जाति एक होना इस ढंग से हम स्वीकार सकते हैं कि मानव का जो उद्देश्य है वो एक ही है, वो है सुखी होना।
Now this humankind being one is something we can understand through the fact that all humans have the same objective.
और वो है समृद्ध होना, ठीक है ना, वो है समाधानित होना, वो है जो निरंतर माने वर्तमान में विश्वास होना अर्थात अभय होना, अभयशील रहना और निरंतर सह अस्तित्व को प्रमाणित करना।
Which is to be prosperous which is to be resolved, which is to eternally evidence our confidence in the present, which means to be eternally fearless, and which is to be in coexistence and to evidence coexistence. So he's saying these 4 points are the common objectives, the common goals of all of humankind. In that way, we can say that all of humankind is one. Our common goal is to be resolved, to be prosperous, to be eternally fearless, and to be evidencing coexistence, which is harmonious togetherness and orderliness.
यही उद्देश्य बनता है। इन निर्देशों को पूरा करने के लिए कुछ भी कार्यक्रम बनाते हैं, ये सब मानव जाति एक के अर्थ में ही होता है।
So this is the only objective that actually makes sense. And if we come up with any program, if we design any program in line with this objective, then that is a program in line with united, or this idea of a single united humankind.
मानव धर्म एक के अर्थ में ही होता है। मानव धर्म एक इसीलिए सभी मानव सुखी होना चाहते हैं, चाहे भारत में हो, लंदन में हो, अमेरिका में हो, अफ्रीका में हो, और कहीं भी हो, किसी भी छोटे से द्वीप में हो, दक्षिणी ध्रुव में हो, उत्तरी ध्रुव में हो।
And it is also, such a program then is also in line with the idea of all human dharma is one, which is all human ordering principles is the same. So dharma is a word that is generally used for religion or faith or creed or something like that. But here it is just being repositioned to dharma being that which is the ordering principle according to which anything is ordered. And traditionally, things were ordered on the basis of the faith that was adopted. But here what he's saying is that we can't adopt our ordering principles. We are born with our ordering principles because we are natural entities. And therefore, the human ordering principle or human dharma is the same. It is universal, it is naturally universal, and it is happiness. So such a program that was described, which is a program with the objective of resolution, prosperity, eternal fearlessness, and evidencing coexistence, is in line with humankind is one, and it's in line with human dharma or human ordering principle is also one. Because the human ordering principle is happiness for all humankind. No matter where the human is born, their ordering principle is always happiness. Whether they're born in India or in the US or in London or in Africa, in a small village somewhere on the earth or in the South Pole, wherever they may be born, all humans will be ordered by happiness.
इसीलिए सभी मानव सुखी होना चाहते हैं, चाहे भारत में हो, लंदन।
Because all humans want to be happy.
छोटे से द्वीप में हो, दक्षिणी ध्रुव में हो, उत्तरी ध्रुव में हो, सभी इस धरती के छाती पर जितना आदमी है, जितने जगह में है, वो सभी आदमी सुखी होना चाहते हैं। ये बात सच्चाई है।
So all human beings that reside on the face of this earth, they all wish to be happy. This is true for all of us, and that is the truth.
सुखी होने की जो मार्ग है, उसी का नाम है धर्म। वो मार्ग क्या है? सुखी होने की जो मार्ग है, उसी का नाम है धर्म। वो मार्ग क्या है? वो है व्यवस्था, निरंतर व्यवस्था, शाश्वत व्यवस्था। व्यवस्था में भागीदारी करने योग्य हर जगह की मानव को हम समझदार बना सकते हैं।
I mean, he said सीखे होने की मार्ग जो है. So he's saying all human beings want to be happy, but then the way to learn to be happy, I think is.
में हो, उत्तरी ध्रुव में हो, वो सभी आदमी सुखी होना चाहते हैं। ये बात सच्चाई है। सुखी होने की जो मार्ग है, उसी का नाम है धर्म। वो मार्ग क्या है?
So the path towards learning to be happy the teaching that path is also our dharma, our ordering principle. So what is it that has to be taught?
वही है व्यवस्था, निरंतर व्यवस्था, शाश्वत व्यवस्था। व्यवस्था में भागीदारी करने योग्य हर जगह की मानव को हम समझदार बना सकते हैं।
So what has to be taught is order, orderliness, continuous order, eternal order, and then participating in this order. And this is something that we can teach and educate all human beings.
यदि एक देश काल में यदि हम समझदारों की एक यदि प्रमाण प्रस्तुत कर पाते हैं, इसको सर्वदेश काल में इसको प्रमाणित कर सकते हैं।
If we are able to present the evidence of this being living in order, if we are able to present the evidence of this in any one space time, which is any one location or any one time period, then we will be able to present the evidence for this in all space times, in all locations at all times.
यही इस प्रस्ताव की खूबी है। क्या?
And this is the beauty of this proposal.
क्या खूबी?
Sorry, was the end. Oops.
That's the end of the video, I think.
The video, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
stopped my sharing.
Okay, because of that.
And I have to resume.
Okay, so what I was thinking is, maybe I think I already mentioned it, but just want to reiterate and then make sure that it is clear that the needs, right? So basically, needs and prosperity, right? Now, if someone, what you call say, does not know about the need, right, and superficially create the needs, right, then they cannot become prosper. Basically, their prosperity would always be kind of attached to the needs what they have, right? So now, unless there is a way by which I mean, of course, myself included in that, right, is aware of that, what are the real needs, then only somebody can think of prosper. Otherwise, we'll just kind of keep building our needs only, and then again needs, and then this kind of things are there. And then if somebody doesn't become prosper at a single point of time, then I believe it will be difficult for them to kind of, including me again, saying that because I'm just starting in this journey, right? That to feel the power of that, what you say, contentness or vyavastha, what the word is being used there, right? So that getting the needs right, then you can think of what next I need to become prosper. Correct. Because if we just kind of keep going our needs and increasing our needs day by day, then we're not going to become prosper at any point of time.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something which I think we need to understand and kind of tell. I mean, I don't know how we'll tell to others, but that's something which which people should know, I'll say right now.
Yeah. Actually, we can't increase our needs. We can only increase our imagination of our needs, because our needs exist naturally. No matter what we think, those needs don't change. We can believe that we have more needs or less needs, but the needs are naturally the way they are, and they remain that way. You will feel fulfilled only when those needs are fulfilled. And unless they are fulfilled, there is no option but to feel unfulfilled. That's the natural law. So it is about recognizing those, like you're saying.
Even when I talk about need, right? Now, let's say there is a family of 3 people, right? Now, living on a 3 BHK or a bungalow or 5 BHK, whatever, those houses, right? Like, what is the need in that case, right? The need is of 3 BHK would suffice, or need is a bungalow is required for that. And that need would kind of depend on the person to person. So yeah, it's difficult to answer that. But when we say that, we're not talking about minimalistic also, right? But even in that case as well, right? Even in a kind of a regular person in a job, right? He can also, or he or she can also look at that and then reduce the, I mean, that's what I said, reduce the needs, right? Like, why do I need to take a loan of 1 crore when I can live in the house of whatever, 25 lakh loan or whatever, right? Even there, I mean, the needs are being fulfilled there, that you have a house is still there, but that once that has been fulfilled, then you can think about become prosperous. But if you say that, no, I want that big house, right? But that is my, again, it's not a need. I don't know. That's what you will say. The need is housing is fine. I can get a house as small 2 BHK also, but why do I need a bigger house?
Yeah. So actually, that's a good question. What determines, so our need essentially is shelter, but
Right.
what kind of shelter and how much shelter, that is something to still figure out. And to answer that, it's mentioned in one point has been mentioned in chapter 4 of this first book, which says that actually our social engagements determine our needs. Samajikta se avashakta determine. So if you're a single person living, then you have a certain type of need for shelter. But if you're a couple, then the kind of shelter you will need is different. If you're a family of with children, the need for shelter will be different. It won't just be an additive of 1 room plus 1 more room plus 1 more room, because children have the need for playing outside, and that is the kind of shelter, that's something the shelter would have to accommodate, or they might need to study or whatever considerations that children need, or elderly or sick. So in a family, that is the minimum level of socialization. Socialization helps to determine our needs. Then what sort of socialization the family wants to engage in also determines the needs. Do you like to have people stay over at your place for several weeks or months? Then you have to have a shelter capable of accommodating that. Do you like to conduct certain activities in the household which will need certain types of spaces? Then accommodating for that. So the principle for this is that our socialization also affects our needs, the exact nature of our needs.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But now, again, sorry if I want to take it other way around, I'm stretching it out a bit. Let me know if otherwise I can ask more than time as well. So, for example, now let's say if you're having multiple houses, right? Then there's another case there, right? That we have a holiday home, we have something there. But again, if you see that that's a social need you have, let's say you are building some farmhouse, right? And then if you want your kids to be open, and then there's a different kind of community you can be there, that all justify in that case. That all justify your need in a way. I would say that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on seeing the largest picture. We can't just look at one small part of it and see whether it's justified or not. It has to connect to all other aspects.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think we're more clear as we wrote, as I kind of go over more content. Yeah.
Yeah. It's slowly all the larger picture is what emerges slowly when you go through the content again. Okay, so we completed that video on order or dharma. So the one before that, the session before that was on justice. Then we did order or dharma, and this one is on truth. The title says Anubhav or Acharan. Literally, it means experience and conduct. Now here, experience, Anubhav, is referring to a very particular kind of experience. It has alternately also been translated to realization. It refers to the purest experience that we can have, an experience that is free of any interpretations on our part. Otherwise, most experiences that we refer to in everyday parlance are all, we can't say that we've only experienced it. It is some experience colored by some interpretation of ours. That is why we often say, oh, we can both of us, we can experience the same situation, but take away different things. That's because we didn't purely experience it. We experienced it through our lenses of narratives and worldview and interpretation. So when he is referring to Anubhav here, it's a very particular usage of this word experience. Anubhav literally means experience, which is experience in the purest sense, an experience that is free of any worldview, free of any interpretation. That is the only real and true experience of our own. And all other experiences are colored by it in that sense. So here, whenever he says Anubhav or experience, think of it with a capital E and referring to this particular activity. In fact, it's a particular capacity in the Jeevan to experience truth, to experience the fundamental nature of reality that he is referring to. And I'm sure he'll elaborate it more clearly. And conduct, of course, because anything that we understand or gain the knowledge of is naturally reflected in our conduct. That is the evidence of our understanding of something.
इस प्रकार से हम इस निष्कर्ष पर आते हैं कि मानव धर्म स्वाभाविक रूप में व्यवस्था के रूप में जीना ही है.
In this way, we come to this conclusion that human dharma or human ordering principle is very naturally to live in an orderly way, to live in order.
व्यवस्था के रूप में जीने के फलस्वरूप में हम निरंतर समाधानित रहना पाए गए हैं. समाधानित रहने के फलस्वरूप हम सुखी होना प्रमाणित.
By living in order, we have found to eternally be resolved, and as a consequence of resolution, we have evidenced happiness.
समाधानित रहने के फलस्वरूप हम सुखी होना प्रमाणित.
And when he says we, he is in particular referring to himself. But he also means that it is true for all humans who go through the same experience.
जीवन ही सुखी होता है तो व्यवहार में समाधान प्रमाणित हो जाता है.
It is when the Jeevan itself attains happiness that resolution gets evidenced in our behavior very naturally.
व्यवहार में प्रमाणित होने का फलस्वरूप ही है मनुष्य सुखी है, इसको हम स्वीकार पाते हैं.
And it is only through this evidence in our behavior that we can accept that the human being is happy. If someone says I am happy, but you can't see that as evidence in their conduct, you don't see the happiness in their conduct, then how will you know for sure actually that they are truly happy? That they are not just deluding themselves saying that they are actually happy. So any happiness in the Jeevan can only be accepted or acknowledged on the basis of its evidence in the human being's conduct.
ये मुख्य बात.
This is the major point.
तो मानव स्वाभाविक रूप में चाहे काले हो गोरे हो, चाहे ऊंचे हो टिंगने हो, मोटे हो दुबले हो, धनी हो निर्धनी हो, बली हो दुर्बली हो और ज्ञानी हो अज्ञानी हो, सभी लोग सुखी होना चाहते हैं.
So all humans very naturally, regardless of if they are black or white, thin or fat, or wealthy or poor, powerful or powerless, etc., etc., all human beings wish to be happy.
सुख के बारे में मानव जाति में कोई दो मत नहीं है. सभी सुखी होना चाहते हैं. सुखी होने की तरीके के बारे में बताया. इंद्रिय संवेदनाओं में सुख को खोजने वाली बात आदिकाल से ही प्रशस्त रहा है.
So there are no two ways about it. All human beings wish to be happy, but the question has always been on how to be happy. And regarding this, it has been prevalent since time immemorial that they have claimed that you can be happy through your sensory pleasures.
और आदमी ने उसी में सुखी होने की कोशिश किया, वह संभव नहीं हुआ।
And humans have tried to find happiness through that, which has not been possible.
फलस्वरूप समझदारी के आधार पर आदमी सुखी होने की बात अभी स्पष्ट हो गई है।
As a consequence, now it has the fact that it is possible to be happy through understanding has become clear.
समझदारी जो है ना, मानव अपने को समझने की बात आती है, अस्तित्व को समझने की बात आती है।
And when we speak of understanding, we are talking about understanding humans, understanding themselves and understanding existence.
अस्तित्व एक शाश्वत सत्य।
Now, existence is an eternal truth.
अस्तित्व न घटती है न बढ़ती है, इसलिए सत्य है।
Existence neither decreases nor does it increase. Therefore, it is a truth.
अस्तित्व न घटती है बढ़ती है, इसका क्या प्रमाण होता होगा भाई? प्रमाण ये इतने ही है, जो कुछ भी अभी आप हमारे सम्मुख जितना प्रमाणित है, ये वर्तमान है ही।
So that this existence neither decreases nor increases. Now, what is going to be the evidence of that? So all of this existence that is before you and I, all of that is in the present.
अभी आप हमारे सम्मुख जितना प्रमाणित है, ये वर्तमान है ही।
So all that is evident before, amidst you and I, all of that is present.
वर्तमान कभी समाप्त होता नहीं।
And the present never ends.
वर्तमान निरंतर बना ही रहता है। इस धरती पर चारों अवस्था बना रहे, चाहे
The present remains eternally manifest. Nirantar bana rehta hai, always there. It is eternally going to be there. So all these four orders on this planet, they're always there.
एक ही अवस्था बना रहे। इस धरती पर चारों अवस्था बना रहे, चाहे एक ही अवस्था बना रहे।
Sorry. So whether there be four orders on this planet or there remains just one, four orders are the material order, biological order, animal order, and the knowledge order. And when he says whether it be all four orders on this planet or just one, the material order,
न्यूनतम एक अवस्था बना ही रहता है, चाहे विरल पदार्थ के रूप में हो, चाहे तरल पदार्थ के रूप में हो, ठोस पदार्थ के रूप में हो, तो तीनों पदार्थ के रूप में हो, ये धरती में अस्तित्व बना ही रहता है।
whether it's four or just one order left on this planet, it will continue to exist. It will remain. Whether that material order is in the form of in the gaseous state or in the liquid state or in the solid state or in all three states, it will remain. So you can't do away with matter, is what he's saying.
रासायनिक भौतिक वस्तुएं निरंतर बने ही रहते हैं, इनका कभी भी नाश होता ही नहीं।
Physical entities are eternally, they remain eternally. They can never be destroyed.
भौतिक वस्तु ही रासायनिक वस्तु में प्रकाशित होते हैं। ये रासायनिक वस्तुओं की जो क्रम है, ये रासायनिक उर्मी जो दो प्रकार की वस्तुएं मिलकर के तीसरे प्रकार के आचरण में प्रवृत्त होना, अपने अपने आचरण को त्याग देना, ये
And it is these very physical entities that manifest as chemical entities in which they participate in chemical reactions where two distinct entities come together and give up their original conducts to take on a third entirely new conduct.
बात ये रासायनिक उर्मी होना, अपने अपने आचरण को त्याग देना, ये बात ये रासायनिक उर्मी कहलाता है। ये रासायनिक उर्मी वश ही तमाम प्रकार की प्राणावस्था की स्थितियां निर्मित।
And this is what is called chemical reactions. And it is thanks to a variety of such chemical reactions that we see the emergence of the biological order.
हुई है रासायनिक वस्तुओं से ही प्राण कोशा, प्राण सूत्र, रचना विधि तीनों अपने आप में संपन्न होते हैं.
It is only through chemical reactions that biological cells, biological genetic material, and
कोशा, प्राण सूत्र, रचना विधि तीनों.
And the reproductive mechanism all emerge. It is from chemical reactions itself that the biological cell, the biological code, genetic material, and the reproductive mechanism all emerge.
अपने आप में संपन्न होते हैं. इसमें कोई संसार के बुद्धिमान मानव का, इंजीनियर का, डॉक्टर का, किसी का भी योगदान होती नहीं है.
This requires no contribution from any intelligent human beings of this world, be it engineers or doctors or scientists or anything. This happens on its own.
तो अपने आप से हुआ रहता है. इससे पता लगता है अस्तित्व में स्वयं ही अनुसंधान विधि, आगे की विकास विधि और आगे की विकास विधि ये बनी हुई सीढ़ी.
So from this what we can understand is that the process of evolution is inherent in existence. The process of evolving to the next stage and then further on to the even next stage and then on to the next, that is inherent in existence.
सीढ़ियां लगी हुई हैं. इस विकास
These steps are already arranged one after the other in existence.
और आगे की विकास विधि ये बनी हुई सीढ़ियां लगी हुई हैं. इस विकास विधि में मानव विकास क्रम में ही मानव भी एक सीढ़ी में है.
And in this progression of evolution, humans too are one link of that progression of evolution in existence.
ये आप हमको समझ में आता है.
This is something that you and I can understand.
यदि मानव अपने ही कर्मानुसार, क्रियानुसार, विचारानुसार व्यवस्था में जी नहीं पाता है, होता क्या है, मानव इस धरती में रहने योग्य नहीं रहेगा. ऐसा स्थिति.
And now what happens is, if humans, thanks to their own actions, their own activities, and something
में जी नहीं पाता है, होता कर्मानुसार, क्रियानुसार, विचारानुसार व्यवस्था में जी नहीं पाता है, होता क्या है, मानव इस धरती में रहने योग्य नहीं रहेगा.
So now, if human beings, thanks to their own actions, their own activities, and their own thoughts, their mentality, if they are unable to live in order, then what will happen? Then humans will no longer be able to live on this planet.
ऐसा स्थिति में धरती परिणत हो जाएगी. अपने आप से धरती में रहने योग्य नहीं रहेगा. ऐसा स्थिति में धरती परिणत हो जाएगी. अपने आप से समाप्त हो जाएगा आदमी. बाकी तो
In such a state, the earth will what? क्या अपने आप क्या हो जाएगी? Could anyone make out what he said?
ऐसा स्थिति में धरती परिणत हो जाएगी. अब
Something धरती अपने आप क्या हो जाएगी? पहल में?
I could not get.
I guess. No, just say it again.
मानव इस धरती में रहने योग्य नहीं रहेगा. ऐसा स्थिति में धरती परिणत हो जाएगी. अपने आप से समाप्त हो जाएगा आदमी.
I guess
Sounds like
inhospitable.
Parinapt.
Parinapt?
Is that a word? Parinapt?
No.
Okay.
Basically, I'm sure it means something like inhospitable. So if
Yeah.
humans are unable to live in order, then naturally the earth will become inhospitable on its own, and humans will end up vanishing.
बाकी तो सब यथावत रहता है. रासायनिक द्रव्य वैसे ही रहता है.
And the rest of it, of course, remains as it is, as in the chemical, all chemicals and material will remain as they are. Basically, only human beings will go extinct.
और भौतिक द्रव्य वैसे ही रहता है, आदमी जात चले जाओ, विदाउट।
So all the chemicals will remain as they are, and the physical matter will remain as they are. Only humans will go away. They will be bid farewell to.
And
क्या
Krishna,
होता
what
है?
happened to Jeevan? Also Jeevans.
Jeevans will also remain, but they will have no bodies to run. So it will be humans who disappear. Some form of animals might also remain, but then the Jeevans who want to run human bodies will not be happy running animal bodies. So they will not run. So they'll just be waiting around. We'll just be waiting around.
अस्तित्व में कोई भी हानि लाभ होता नहीं।
In existence, there is no sort of profit and loss.
माने अस्तित्व न घटता है न बढ़ता है।
That is, existence neither decreases nor does it increase.
हाँ, अस्तित्व का सहज क्रिया है। अस्तित्व में ही मनुष्य माने अस्तित्व में ही मानव माने प्रकृति, अस्तित्व में ही पशु प्रकृति, अस्तित्व में ही वनस्पति प्रकृति, अस्तित्व में ही और पदार्थ प्रकृति की वैभव निरंतर बनाए रहता है। चाहे
So existence neither increases nor decreases, but yes, it is natural in existence for there to be the manifested grandeur of human nature, of animal nature, of biological nature and material nature.
इस धरती में हो, दूसरे धरती में हो, और
Be it on this planet or any other planet.
इस धरती में आदमी इस प्रकार से यदि कर्म करके धरती को मनुष्य के आवास योग्य ना रह जाए, इसको बनाना ही यदि विकास समझता है, इससे अच्छे अक्ल की पत्थर क्या हो सकता है।
And if the humans on this planet continue to consider making this planet more and more inhospitable to be the only direction towards development, then what can be a greater foolhardiness than that?
तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा मनुष्य जो इस प्रकार की अड़चन पैदा करने वाले आदमी, देश और समुदाय को हम विकसित मानते हैं, ये इसमें भी सोचने की मुद्दा है।
And this is also worth thinking about, that it is those countries, those people and those groups that are creating the biggest such problems of causing greater and greater inhospitability, that we consider to be the heights of development. That is also something worth questioning and worth thinking about. Is that what we're considering development, basically? So I think I'll just pause the video here. There are a couple of minutes. He had started talking about this because we are talking about existence itself is the truth. So in order to be happy, which is where we left off in the previous session, that dharma, the human dharma, is happiness. Happiness is through understanding and therefore resolved living. And understanding is nothing but to understand existence and to understand ourselves. And existence is the truth. Existence is eternally as it is. It is neither created nor destroyed. It never increases nor does it decrease. So it is in that context that he's been talking about all this. Anything before we close for the day?
I'm good. Yeah.
Nanduji, Kashma Devi?
I'm left thinking, my God, how will be like what hanging around where?
You're thinking about when we destroy the planet.
When it will get destroyed, suppose, and whatever.
Hopefully we won't reach that.
The way he's saying is that we may reach it.
Yeah, we may. But
Yeah.
any activity that we do today will have to be with taking the possibility that we needn't. Like he was saying, no, we are surrounded in all these problems, but the possibility to emerge from them always remains. It is up to us to take up that possibility. We can emerge from this problem. And if we take that possibility, then the situations and circumstances will align to that also. So what do we work
And
with?
but I don't know. Mm, And when he talks of Anubhav, obviously the Anubhav is to know that you are not body, you are body and Jeevan.
Not
And
really,
you
not exactly, but yeah, that happens
what is
thanks
the
to Anubhav.
Anubhav? What is
He'll-
the Anubhav? He's always talking of realization. And
Yeah,
is that, I guess, no?
he'll talk about it just now, so I won't,
Acha.
because he'll explain it in his own words. We've all heard about it in other spaces already,
Huh.
but let's hear
Okay.
him describe it. But yeah, the fact that the Jeevan is distinct from the body is a consequence of realize this Anubhav only. But that is not what is experienced. The difference is not what is experienced.
Okay.
So I'm not sure whether I heard here or somewhere, I don't know where, but it's not mentioned that, okay, the rich people or the rich countries could not basically would not participate in this. Poor people cannot do it because they are still struggling to kind of meet their ends, and whatever the ends meet there, then only they can think of something more. A person who is in the middle class, right, in a way, right, somebody who is neither there or neither there, right, they would be the first one to kind of they should be the part of this change, correct, and then and kind of show the world how it can be done, because for it doesn't matter at all. For poor, they're still there, they're still kind of trying to meet their ends meet. So I don't know where did I kind of read that, but this is something which is there right now, which kind of put somewhere like, okay, too much of responsibility on us, right? I mean, you sometimes feel your shoulder is like having too much of thing to kind of do, right? So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what to say.
I mean, I haven't heard, I mean, I can't remember. I have come across this somewhere, but I don't know where either. This thing about the classes and how the upper class has a huge momentum in one direction. So it's more difficult for them to change. And the economically lower, weaker classes, obviously, you can't expect them to shoulder the responsibility. And then therefore it falls onto the middle class. That's definitely, it makes logical sense to me too. But the way I think about it most is, see, I've come in contact with it and I can take responsibility because I need to, I mean, this is my need. So what else will I do? And if I think about it that way, then it's not about a burden. It is about working towards what is a natural requirement for me. And I've come to realize or have been given the information that, see, this is the way to fulfill it. So why would I not do that? Then it doesn't feel so much like a burden as much as an opportunity, actually.
Yeah, I was not, burden is not the right word per se, but I believe, sorry for the background noise, but I believe it just kind of I mean, let's see, I don't know what to say right now, but I think, yeah, we should just kind of do our bits, what I would say, and then kind of see where we go.
Yeah. Like we say usually in most workshops that we need to take responsibility for just one person initially, which is ourselves. Yeah.
Right. I agree on that. First of all, make sure that you are there and your family, and then something else.
Yeah. Because living will always happen from one small step to the next small step. Key point here is that understanding has to happen. That you have to understand, we live initially in our very small scope, but our understanding has to be of existence and therefore myself. Like I can't understand myself if I don't understand the entirety of existence. So that needs to be fulfilled, and then living will always be small step by small step.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, then. Today's Friday, no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess
Tomorrow is
we'll meet on
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Tomorrow,
No,
there's-
tomorrow. No, actually not tomorrow. Yeah. sorry.
tomorrow is the evening
Yeah, yeah,
Vyavahar Darshan thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.